I forget. All right. So happy Friday. If you missed this week's topics, Kirsten and I were doing these little 30-minute snippets. Um, so she did a bunch this week on CMAs, the listing appointment, the presentation. I did a few on how to call expireds, how to call for sale by owners. One was how to start a conversation to get your foot in the door, right? How do you get your foot in the door with a seller? So everything was seller focused, listings focused, right? Today, we're going to kind of wrap a pretty bow up this week with how to set the right expectations with sellers um, when you have your appointment and how to have that price reduction conversation.
Mhm.
Okay. This is really important because right now we are seeing a lot of houses all having to have price reductions because the market is changing still, and it's predicted to change throughout this entire year. I don't know what next year brings, but this year it's predicted to change in the direction of house prices going down a little bit. We don't know what a little bit means, right? So we need to be the agents who know the skill set and practice it are the ones who are going to not only land the listings, but a lot of agents are going to take listings, not know how to have this conversation. And those are the ones that are going to go expired because they won't know how to price it. They won't know how to have the conversation. So it's going to be overpriced, meaning it won't sell. And the agents who do know how to have this conversation can swoop in and take it.
Mm.
Yes, I just said swoop. All right. Any questions before we get started? Okay. So here's the thing. When it comes to expectations, pull out my little cheat sheet over here. So first, the very first part of it is the expectations conversation. The expectations conversation comes after they sign with you. Again, we're talking about sellers specifically, listings. You're not having this conversation before they sign with you. So you go for the appointment, they love you, you guys are awesome, they sign. You now get to start working on their behalf. Okay. At that same appointment, so they've already signed with you. You've talked about when they want to go on the market. You've talked about, next steps with bringing the photographer out, et cetera, et cetera. Now we can have this expectation conversation, and it sounds something like this, right? It's very short. It's not this big, long, hour-long conversation, right? I'm going to give you an example. There's also some great examples, like on our KW Connect. Like if you're in Command, at the very top, there's a button that says Connect. And that's a lot of videos through Keller Williams. If you type in price reduction conversations, listing expectations, price expectations, there's a lot of top producers giving examples of this as well. So you can kind of get different variations. And then you want to figure out, like, you want to practice this to gain confidence, because this is the one thing you do not want to sit there and go, maybe kind of like you need to have this down packed because you're talking about money, right? All right, so the conversation is something like this. So let's say, Ryan, you're listing your house. You just signed. I'm so excited to work on your behalf. Next steps are going to be, I'm going to get a photographer out there. I know you have some work to do. We're looking to get it on the market in the next 2 weeks, you said. Cool. Now, one thing I want to let you know, just have a little expectations conversation. You're going to hear from me every single week. Okay, so you're letting them know when you're communicating. Now, I'm going to give a best practice right now. You have to, as an agent, decide what this sounds like for you. You need to come up with your best practice. So I'm going to give you a best practice based on top producers. You come up with yours. All right. So Ryan, I'm going to reach out to you every single week with updates, not only prior to getting it on the market to see how everything's going and, decluttering and all that and giving you some advice, but also keeping you posted on when the photographer's coming out. I know we talked about having it coming soon, right? And usually my follow-ups, I do them every single Wednesday. So I follow up Wednesdays. So you're going to hear from me every Wednesday. Now, some people do follow up Fridays, some people do follow up Tuesdays. So now here's the thing. Don't give a date. Like I like to, when doing listings and best practices for top producers out there, you kind of have these like days you follow for a schedule and a structure for all of your listings to streamline it. So when you have 3 listings, 20 listings in a month, it makes it easier, right? If you're not going to follow those days, don't give a date. Because whatever you say, if you don't do it, you lost trust. So, yep. So every Wednesday, it's on my calendar. I'm gonna follow up with you. Now, let me ask you, do you prefer calls, texts? What do you like better?
I prefer text and email are fine for me.
Fantastic. You're gonna get a text and email. Anything crucial, any conversations we need to have. Oh, I think he lost connection. Anything crucial, any conversation, I'm gonna text you and be like, are you free for a call? Sound good?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Now, in those conversations, when your house does go on the market in 2 weeks, notice how I keep saying that. When
Right.
your house does go on the market in 2 weeks, every week you're going to hear from me. And what I'm going to follow up with you on every week is how many showings there are, if there are any showings, when there are showings, what the feedback has been, right? And obviously, as soon as offers come in, you're going to hear from that as well. And then we're going to walk through them together. How does
Okay.
that sound?
That sounds like a plan. You sound like you're very thorough.
Abs Listen, my job is to get you to North Carolina to be with with your family down there and have the less taxes and less, more space with a bigger house. So you gotta be thorough. Knows how to
Absolutely.
tie it back to their motivation.
Right.
Always make it about them. So is there anything else when I do these weekly follow-ups, anything else really important you want me to make sure I cover? What's important to you?
Really what's important to me is just making sure my property is, the best presentation for the prospective buyers. So I mean, if you can let me know what I and my family need to do to help with that, I really would be interested.
Well, I know we have our appointment coming up this Sunday. And what we'll do this Sunday when I come out there is I'm going to do a full walkthrough with you to give you just some guidance on, like, for example, like take down personal photos of the family.
Okay.
It's a little too personal. Things to declutter. I'm going to give you some best practices that day when we're in person.
Okay. That sounds good.
Awesome. So make sure you have pen and paper handy.
Okay.
All right. All right. So along with when it goes in the market, keeping you updated on the showings and the feedback. We're also going to be talking, I'm going to be sharing with you about the market because the market right now is changing constantly. That's just real estate. Okay. That's just
Okay.
it's always changing. So what I mean by that is if within now I'm going to say this right now as of February 2025 going into March 2025. This verbiage changes depending on the market. So for example, back in 2018, my verbiage was 100% different because
Oh
average
yeah.
days on market back then was 48 days, 50 days, things like that. 2020, average days on market was like a day.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing 10 days, 14 days, 2 weeks, depending on location.
Okay.
So we don't know what the rest of this year brings. We don't know what next year brings. So we always need to know approximate days on market, right? Which MLS can tell us this information to say it or what I'm about to say. Okay.
Okay.
What's your expectation for this expectation? Um, so as I prepare you, as I provide you with the updates on the showings and the feedback, if within that first, I'm gonna say 10-ish days, okay, 10-ish days, there are very few showings or no showings. I'm going to swing by. We're going to have a conversation. I'm going to pull an update market because we most likely will need to drop the price. Okay. Now,
Okay.
when we talked about price, we did talk about we're going to start here. We might have to drop it. And when we drop it, we typically want to drop it in 5 to 10,000 increments because that's how the search portals that buyers are on function. Right.
Okay.
So hopefully we don't have to, but I want to set that expectation up front so you know if that call does happen, that's why.
Okay.
Sound good? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So there you go.
Okay.
Like that, right? So we set expectations on how we're going to communicate, what we're going to be communicating about, um, how within about 10, 14-ish days, if there's no showings, we need to talk about price and dropping it. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the first part, right? So we got the listing. We're now having this expectation conversation. Now I'm going to move into, it's been 10 days to 2 weeks. Again, as of now, I don't know what the future brings, right? Meaning a few months from now, we might say 3 weeks, might say 4 weeks. A year from now, we might be back to 2 days. I don't know, right? So now I'm going to flip this conversation. It's out, your house is on the market now. Yay, right? You're all excited to, get some showings and get to North Carolina. However, there's only been just a few showings. There's no offers, and the feedback has been things around price
Okay.
and things around a few things in the house people are saying, like feedback from the buyers, potential viewers, right?
Okay.
So we're about 10 to 2 weeks into your house. So now this conversation, I'll be honest, I like to have this conversation in person. That's just my preference, right? I'm a face-to-face person. It could be on Zoom. I rather just come out to your, like if you're local, I'm probably gonna to text you and be like, because you said text works, I'll probably be like, hey Ryan, I want to provide some updates. I just pulled some new market stats, some market updates. Can I swing by for 15 minutes tonight at 6 o'clock? This conversation goes over a lot easier when you have eye contact. You can see their body language. You're not just hearing their tone, you see them.
Okay.
If they're out of state, you can do Zoom. When you get really comfortable with these conversations, or if you really know the person, you can just, truly be like, all right, listen, we need to have a heart to heart right now. Like we need to have a real conversation.
Okay.
Right. Like if I'm selling my best friend's house, honestly, I just pick up the phone and call her. So you kind of have to also feel that out. All right. So right now we're calling with a price reduction conversation because it needs a price reduction. All right. So Brian, you and I are in person right now. So I'm at your house.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So first of all, how's your day been?
It's been pretty good. Nice. It's been a good week, so I'm looking forward to the weekend.
Awesome. Here's the thing. I'm going to sit here. I'm not going to just jump right. We need relationship. Okay. I'm just continually building the relationship. So I'm going to be like, what are you doing this weekend? Blah, blah, blah. Right. Okay. The reason I'm out here is I did pull some new numbers. I want to talk a little bit about what the showings have been, what the feedback's been, and the recommendation.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
You're literally just giving them like an outline. Like you ever go to class, be like, here's what you're going to learn.
Right.
You're just giving them, here's what we're about to talk about. Right. And don't be afraid. You can literally have it. Like I would actually have it as a bullet point in front of me so you don't forget anything.
Right.
Sometimes we get in front of people and we get so tied up in this conversation. We're like, wait, did I miss something? Like we want to be on point.
Mhm.
All right. So first, we've had a few showings. There's only been 3. Right. No offers just yet. Again, my role is get you North Carolina. No offers just yet. So what I did when there's no offers, I look at the feedback, I look at the market, look at the price. Right. We as people don't sell homes. The market does. Obviously, my marketing as well. That your home's on social media. It's on every single platform. It's syndicated out to 200 different locations worldwide.
Mm.
By the way, our platform does that. So you can say that. Um, and buyer shop by price, right? Like you're looking at a house in North Carolina right now, right? With that agent,
Yeah.
you're
Hmm.
looking at price. So you want to stay in a certain price point.
Right.
Okay. Similar thing. Buyers are looking at your house, stay in a certain price point. So let me pull out what the market is showing. Now, here's what I'm going to pull out 3 to 5, no more than 5 examples. So CMA, no more than 5 examples. Now, depending on the location, you might only have 1 example, right? But if there's tons of examples, only do 5 max because it's overwhelming. If you can get something that's active, if there's something active that's similar to theirs, that's golden. Because let's say that your house is on the market right now for 380, and the other active house that's very similar to yours, right? The most similar, maybe not exact, but the most similar is on the market for 368.
Right.
And then if there's something that's recently closed, um, that's always good to put in because you can be like, this one was on the market for, so let's say I have two, let's say I only pulled two examples, an active and a closed. The actives for 368, yours is on the market for 380. The closed is was on the market. MLS shows this was started at 375, closed for 372. Okay, see where I'm going
Okay.
with this?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, hey Ryan, okay, so what I did is I pulled the most similar homes in your area. I have this closed one, this active one that's the most recent. Okay, so I want us to just imagine we're like buyers right now.
Okay.
Well, because you are a buyer for North Carolina. So this one right here was on the market. So yours is 3 bedrooms, there's 3 bedrooms, here's the similarities. It was on the market for three, whatever I said. It had to do a price. When it sold, it went down in price. So it sold for 372.
Okay.
This one is currently active, meaning this is your competition right now. So when buyers are looking online and they're coming to see a house, if you were looking online, you have two of the exact same houses. Which one are you going to go to? 380 or 368?
I would definitely give the 368 consideration.
Right. So we need to put your house in a better position in front of buyers for them to see it. So in
Okay.
order to do that, my professional recommendation as your agent is we do a price reduction. My recommendations, we go down 10K. Okay. Now you can then now here's the thing. Depending on when they first listed, and if they were like, oh God, I don't want to go down too much. I really need the money, blah, blah. I would also bring out a net sheet, which if you don't know how to do that, Kirsten can show how to do that in Bright MLS. But I'll be honest, I actually go to, you can go to a lender. Tim at Universal Title will do one for you, right? I
Okay.
have other people make them for me just because I don't have the patience to make them. Um, but I'll have that with me as well. Be like, listen, going by down by 10, you're still walking away with this amount. Right? But by doing that, you're opening up a whole new buyer bracket to see your home. So my recommendation is it's at 380 right now. We go down to actually 369.5. How do you
Okay.
feel about that?
I'm gonna follow your recommendation. It does kind of hurt to hear, but I mean, I'm ready to move. I'm ready to get this
The
done.
goal is
So
North Carolina, right? That's the
yeah,
whole thing is get you to North, and you want to be there, you said within the next few months.
right.
Okay. So, okay, I'm gonna make that adjustment today. Okay, I'm gonna send you an email. Just reply back to me being like, yep, confirmed, received, just received,
Okay.
right? And it's just going to say, make this price reduction to this. Like you don't have to go do a whole new contract, anything like that. And then when I go back to the office, I'm going to go on to Bright MLS, drop the price, republish it,
Okay.
right? And then I'm going to, anybody who did any agent who brought a buyer out there, you have access to who showed the property. I'm going to I'm going to actually call all of them or text them, be like, hey, 123 Cookie Road, that you brought your buyer to, we just did a price reduction. It's at this now. Does your buyer have any interest? So now you're letting them know, right?
Okay.
All right. What questions do you have? So that was again, we talked about the upfront expectations. Then when it's time, if it gets to that point, again, this doesn't always happen, but if it gets to that point where it's little showings, no offers, it's been right now on the market 2 weeks, we need to drop it. Because again,
Okay.
price sells a home.
I don't really have any specific questions. I've been taking notes on, what you've been saying, like specifically how, just often check-ins, letting folks know. So it's like even if you list the home and then like you say, hey, maybe 7 to 10 days goes by, but if you set the expectation of the market, like you said, based on that time, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, this is kind of normal.
Mm-hmm.
If it was booming like it was during the pandemic, like people were, they weren't staying. They wanted to contract quickly. But
Mm-hmm.
if the expectations are set, like you said, with the communication, then I would assume those latter conversations you were just doing a little bit easier.
Yes.
But
Yes. If
Just
you go in,
depends.
no, absolutely. If you've never had an expectation conversation up front, if when you price the house at the listing appointment and agreed on the price,
Hmm.
never said, hey, we're going to start here. We're going to watch the market. The goal is to market this out there, get it into, get it out there to as many people as possible to obviously get the offer,
Yeah.
right, that you're looking for. But we're going to watch, I'm going to watch the market every week and watch the showings and look at the feedback. And if we need to, we'll have a discussion in about 2 weeks on showings and if we need to do a price reduction. Hopefully we don't need to, but if we do, we'll talk then. If you don't have that conversation up front, when it comes down to having that price reduction conversation, you're kind of like surprising them. You're like, hey, surprise. We never talked about this, but guess what? We need to drop your price.
Okay.
Right. So they're a little more taken back and they tend to be a little angrier, not angry, a little moodier. So yeah, setting it up front makes it way easier to have it if you need it. Right. And then really making sure you continually tie your conversation into their motivation. It's not about, we need to do this to sell your house. It's, we need to do this because you said you want to be in North Carolina with a family by this date for this reason. Right. We need to do this because you said you need to be in a bigger place because you have 3 kids sharing one room and it's driving you up the wall. So for your sanity, we need to get those kids in their own rooms.
Right.
See, notice how we're now tying it to a pain point. We're tying it to something personal to them.
Right.
They
Tied to
much
their motivation.
Exactly. It's a much easier conversation than just saying like, okay, so we're going to come in, we're going to price your house lower to sell it. Right? Like that. There's no meaning behind that. There's no emotion behind that.
Right.
All right, that was it. A little 30-minute stint. Price reduction expectation.
Okay.
Now we just have to land some listings to be able to have those conversations.
Yeah. This is the Love on Listings month, so we need to do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will tell you, there's did you call the leads I sent?
I sent text messages and emails, but I'm gonna. No, I'm really. Yeah, this was my birthday week, so I've been like so
Wait,
many
when was your
ways.
birthday?
It was yesterday the 6th.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, thanks.
You
So
celebrating this weekend?
yeah, well, yesterday my wife we went to brunch and then she